All right, welcome to this week's podcast. We have my friend Rick Kievits, and we're going to be sitting down and interviewing him. One thing that's really cool about Rick is that he's got a unique journey to Des Moines. A lot different than mine. I was born in Ames, lived in Beaverdale. Then I moved to Johnston, graduated from Johnston, and then went to Drake. So this is all I've ever known. Rick has a little bit more unique journey here. So it's cool what he's been doing here and business-wise, but also just he's raising his family here. So without further ado, Rick, welcome.
Thank you, Jason.
How are you doing, man?
Good.
That's good.
A little nervous, but good.
Yeah. All right, Rick. I kind of introduced you a little bit. So tell us where you grew up and how in the world did you end up here in Des Moines, Iowa?
Okay. Yeah. So usually what I've found with trainings and facilitations, by the way, is the first 5 minutes for me are the roughest. So if we can keep these basic questions going for a little bit, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
So I'm 30 years old right now.
Yeah.
And I came here when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born and raised in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Some people might know of it as Holland.
Yep.
And if you haven't heard of Holland, then I would say Amsterdam, and that's the main capital.
Yeah, that's what you gotta say. Yeah.
And so that's where I was born and raised, and so at 17 I had a decision to make because of several reasons. But one of the things was, do you want to become a host child and experience the host experience in a different country?
Yeah.
Because I was 17 when I graduated high school, and at 18 really university usually starts.
And the Netherlands is when it starts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so for multiple reasons I decided, yes, let's do it. And then, okay, what country do you pick? And for me, it was a no-brainer. It was USA.
That's right.
Because that's what, where all the movies that you see in the Netherlands and things like that. It was just a lot that I wanted to explore and experience myself. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I got here. Yeah,
that's amazing. So currently, what profession are you in? What are you doing right now?
Okay, so I'm in accounting.
Yep.
And I lead a team of other accountants.
Yep.
And so that's what I do.
So you've been working in the accounting industry pretty much since you've graduated from college then?
Yep. So that would be 8 years now.
Okay, that's great. So when you decide the USA, so what college did you go to start out with? And then what's been your path since arriving to the US and then kind of your career path?
Yeah, so I came here at 17. So what it really was a 1 year experience for high school.
Got it.
So I did 1 year of high school, and it was actually in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Okay.
And I just loved the experience so much, and I learned so much that really I wanted to explore more, but I really didn't pursue exploring that up until there were some colleges that gave me scholarships for soccer. And that's when it actually became something that was available to me. Mm-hmm. And so when I did that, I decided to stay. It was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was easy at that time to pick a college that was closest to what I then knew of the U.S., which was close to Council Bluffs. So I went to Iowa Western for that first year.
Yeah.
And there were several things that happened that took place that led me to have to transfer to a different community college. The biggest one was I got, deported.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Okay.
We've known each other for a few years. I didn't know you got deported.
Yeah, so I got deported.
No.
I got deported.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Are we still good to do this podcast?
Yeah, no.
It was for very good, not good reasons. What happened was my foreign exchange student thing expired.
Okay.
And I was told that I could re-extend or actually apply for a different type of college visa within the U.S. without having to depart and go to the U.S. capital in the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
Well, this was wrong. This advice that was given to me was wrong. So I found out 6 months after that expired that I got denied.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Okay, so you had a little bit of hiccup to your journey. So you finished your freshman year of junior college at Iowa Western.
Yep.
Got deported. So how long was that like?
That deportation, I was in the Netherlands for like 45 months because you have to start all the way over.
Got it.
And obviously now you got to, I don't know what you have. You have something behind your name within the U.S. registration that says, okay, watch this guy or...
Yeah. So it took about 5 months.
And it was very fortunate because there was another soccer coach who actually heard of me who said, I want you on my school. But he didn't know I was deported back.
Got it.
And then I told him, and then he said, I'll take care of all the paperwork that you need. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So then, so you started at Council Bluffs. Which high school did you go to in Council Bluffs? Was it Lewis Central or which one was it?
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. That's right. That's right. Abraham Lincoln. That's if you're gonna have an American experience.
That's what I said.
Abraham Lincoln. That's right.
Yep.
One of the greatest presidents. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln. You go to Iowa Western. Spend about 5 months in the Netherlands, and then where do you? And then you come back.
Then I went to
Iowa.
Nyack.
Nyack, and that's
Community
in
College.
Fort
Mason City.
Mason City. Okay, yeah.
So
Then you played your sophomore year soccer there.
yeah, and then junior and senior were at Morningside College in Sioux City because I wanted to stay in Iowa.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then you finished your collegiate. So you did. What did you study in college, and did you keep playing soccer in college then?
Yeah,
okay.
yep. A whole 4 years, and then it was a BA in business administration with an emphasis in accounting. I think. They call it.
Yeah, that's great.
Which, at that time,
yeah,
I didn't know what that meant.
No, I think so. When you graduated from college, that was in
2011.
2011. Okay, yeah. I graduated in 2009, and it was a crazy job market for me. Mm-hmm. Was that a similar experience for you when you graduated?
Yes. And initially, when actually preparing for some of these questions, I was trying to remember what it was like back then. And I think it was, actually the biggest thing that I remember was it wasn't like the professors or whatever were marketing to me it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're going to come out and you're going to start out with X salary with these responsibilities. And, that wasn't what I found in the market. So
when I graduated, I had a few choices, and I decided to kind of do the real estate, which is pretty much like an entrepreneurial track. And so, but a lot of my friends that experience the corporate world, that's what they all experience, at least in that 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, we're in one of the biggest recessions in all of U.S. history, and that was a challenging time. So so what was your experience? Where did you start out? So when you graduated from college, what were your options then at that point? So were you looking at anywhere in?
Well, I was dating Ashley, now my wife.
Yeah.
And so we did want to stay in Iowa. We made a conscious decision about that. But I also told her if we do Iowa, I want it to be in Des Moines.
That's right.
So that was our main thing. And then we kind of said, okay, you know what? We'll just figure it out from there.
Got it.
So we got an apartment, and we each got a job. But it was basically the first job we could find that wasn't completely out of line with what we went to school for.
Sure.
But it wasn't completely aligned either. So I think we each had a contract type job at Wells Fargo.
Got it. Yep. So Wells Fargo in Des Moines has a big presence, and there's a lot of jobs here, and some of the bigger corporations, especially during that time, it was a lot of like almost prove-it contracts. It was like we had to let go a bunch of people as a corporation, so we're going to hire these new people, and it was very much like bottom rung.
Yeah.
So that seemed like
and it was in a way, that was actually a really, really good humbling experience too.
Yeah. So kind of go back to when your professors. A lot of the professors were probably a little bit. I mean, when you're in the professorship, you're not working full time, so sometimes you might get out of a little bit of touch. And a lot of times during that time, it's hard to figure out what was going on. But you graduate and you have a good degree, and all of a sudden you kind of start in the bottom rung. But that's how most businesses
it was actually perfect. Looking back. So.
Yeah. So you worked at Wells Fargo for a while.
2 months.
2 months. But it's a good experience.
Yeah, it's a long 2 months.
Yeah, I heard kind of a business consultant. He said the goal of your 20s is to figure out what you don't want to do the rest of your life. So
I did that.
Yeah. So. Well, that's cool. So you went from Wells Fargo, then you had another job opportunity in Central Iowa. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So actually, what happened was it was a contract job anyway, so I knew it was going to end at some point.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
So I was applying at different jobs, and then I landed a job with a different company in industry that I was very unfamiliar with.
Oh, okay.
Actually, never heard of the company.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things. But the interview went well, and the job seemed to be a good fit for a step into the right direction.
Yeah.
With opportunity for growth and stuff.
Yeah.
And although there were still a lot of things that were like super entry level stuff that like I had to push a mail cart and things like that.
Yeah.
For a year at least. I don't know if it was 2 years or what in total, but that was good as well. So that's where I went, and I spent my first 8 years with one company, and I just recently changed to a different.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think a big thing too professionally, especially graduating from college, it seems like it's important or it's empowering if you see a path to like grow within a company. So that's what you kind of felt like with your 8 years there. You kind of felt like there's a path to have meaningful work and
actually what I in hindsight then also want to say is it actually was a path that I would have never envisioned.
Yeah.
And so you think you come out of college with a path, and so if you get too rigid on that, you lose all this sight over here.
Yeah.
And so I think in a way what that entry level did for me was it let me look at the entire piece and create a path in alignment with kind of what I wanted to pursue. So I met a bunch of people through pushing the mail cart around.
Yeah.
I went in all the offices and here's your mail, sir, and here's your
great
mail.
at it.
Yeah. And I think I had an accuracy rating of delivering mail about 95%.
Yeah. What is the industry? What were they hoping? Like, but that's good though. We get I think so. Yeah. So kind of what you're saying too. It's like if you get too rigid when you're graduating from college on like what you want to do, you might miss out on opportunities.
Yeah. My 8 years were really, really good in a way because I started seeing things at a level that maybe if you would start here, you wouldn't be able to experience and see.
I think even, it's kind of a little bit similar for me. It's like when I started in real estate, I just knew a couple things. One is I like to like solve problems and I like to help people.
Yeah.
And then it's like I didn't even know the industry really even existed. So I'm really thankful that I got into this industry because then it's like you get to meet a lot of wonderful people. You get to help people, and you also can, just guide people. And I really like that. And so, sometimes it's if you get too rigid, you can miss out on opportunities. So right now, Ashley, you guys got married, and what year did you guys get married?
2011.
2011. So you came here in 2010. Is that right?
To the U.S.?
Yeah, or no, to Des Moines, Central Iowa.
Sorry. Yes.
2010, 2011.
Yep.
So what's so right now you have 3 children.
3 kids.
3 kids, and
Right.
So what advice do you have for young fathers and young professional? Yeah, kind of professional.
So
and that's been helpful to you. Yeah.
I think a couple things, but honestly, I'm still looking for advice too.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about it. Because in ways, some days you feel like you have it figured out, and there's some good days, and then there's some days where I'm like, oh, I really got to talk to X or Y and see what they're doing that I'm not, because I feel like things are just either out of control or we're missing something. But I think one of the biggest, two of the biggest things is, one of them is, and my wife and I go back and forth on this a little bit. Yeah. Because she comes in from a different angle, so she thinks I'm too much of this. Yeah. And I think she's too less of this. You know. Yeah. That's the basic marriage thing. Yeah. But structure and discipline, I think that is so huge for me, and I've found not only just in your life in general, but also with work and things like that. Especially when there's more responsibilities that get added on that. Yeah. Structure and discipline is necessary, and I found that if we do that, say in the mornings, you know, everybody wakes up at X amount of time, so say 6:30, I think is when everybody's actually up. Well, if I want to get anything done for myself, I need to be up by this time, and it takes me this many minutes to do this, and you know, so forth. And then when the kids are up, then it's like go, go, go. And not only do we respond better to structure and discipline, our kids do too. Yeah. So we're trying to continuously play with that fine line between structure and I don't know what the opposite would be, but no structure, I guess. Yeah,
go with the flow, or just
go with the flow is a good way to say it. Yeah. And I'm leaning more on the end of structure and discipline because I believe it pays off in the end. Yeah. I believe it gives us X amount of minutes of free time for the kids to do something versus just going with the flow and letting them kind of figure it out, which they usually don't. Yeah. Yeah. And the way we want to anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's important too with young kids, and we're in a similar situation. I have 4. And how old's Emerson? Is she 5, 6?
She's gonna be 5 in January.
So yeah, 5, and then
Wesley 3 next month.
Yeah, and then baby. Yeah, and so we're similar, but we have 8 soon to be, or we have 7, 6, 3, and soon 2. Yeah, pretty much 2. Yeah. So it's important with kids because kids need leadership, and I think that I agree with structure. That's important. And one thing too, it's like, man, it's in like what trying to learn things out. I heard something that was really helpful for me this week. I was listening to a pastor talk, and he said, if you don't get on your knees and play with your kids, you're going to regret it in 30 years. And so I know that watching you play with your kids, like you do that. And stuff. So it's really important, just like simple wisdom like that. It's really important for young
because structure and discipline alone can sound really cold.
It can,
as a parent, if I just say that.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the way I look at it is actually the warmest, one of the very warm thing when done right.
Yeah.
And with the right intentions.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a gift for kids because then they can adopt the same thing because that's how life is. Like we all have a certain amount of minutes per day to live, and I think it's important to learn how to maximize the minutes and also like systematically, it's like we are going to go to bed each day. We are going to wake up at a certain time, and so it's important that we maximize our time because life is short, and I've heard that raising kids, it'll go very fast. And that was a helpful tip for me this week was like, just really get involved in your kids' lives. And that way, if you have a schedule, it's like, man, we can spend these 30 minutes and get after it. So,
I agree.
And play and have a lot of fun. So, all right, so we just got done talking about kind of some helpful tips, for young fathers and with young families and how to kind of structure is important. So now, from your journey, so you've had 3 jobs professionally since graduating. What are some advice? I mean, you started out, delivering mail. So what are some advice to people just starting out professionally at a new job? And what are your thoughts on that?
I got a few thoughts because I'm glad you asked me that question when you sent me the kind of the agenda over it because it's so important. Because some of the things are actually, now I'm looking back at it, where some things maybe that I wish the professor actually would have told me. Versus what he told me, And so it's great. And so I'm going to actually use a little bit of my iPad here because I want to make sure I hit it right. But I think one of the biggest things that I learned from the experience that I did, which was initially taking a job that I never expected I needed to take, was take that job. Don't keep denying those jobs, those entry-level jobs that do not fit either your expectations or your wants in a way. Because there's something in there that you need to learn, that you need to go through, that you need to experience. And I think that actually sets you up for compounded growth. And there's a lot of life lessons in there. So the first one would be take that job, take that entry-level job. I think the second one is to really stay true to yourself. And in order to be able to do that, you first need to figure out who you are. Which I didn't know. I knew in certain ways, and there was a lot yet that I needed to learn, and I'm still learning, right? But figure that out. What are your values? What do you believe is right? What do you believe is wrong? And be that way in the office too, because that pays off in the long run. And it's easy to get caught up in office drama, politics, trying to sound correct, not look like a fool, those kinds of things. So stay true to yourself because that pays off in the long run. And I truly believe that I've done that, but I've also been on the other end where I wasn't true to myself in ways, and I just tried to sound good. And I knew right after I was done, say with that conversation, I wasn't true to myself, and it didn't feel good. Your conscience tells you that. And the outcome will too, because people find out. I can say that I know something when I don't. That comes out in some way, shape, or form. And so that gets me to just doing the right thing pays off in the future, which is the third one. So always do the right thing, tell the truth, whatever. Because I think people get concerned about building credibility, and in some ways, credibility is always earned. But people think credibility is something that's given very. They look at the short term, right? So a conversation right now, and say I'm faking something. You might give me some respect.
Sure.
And so that short term, it seems to pay off, right? Conversation's over. But at some point that comes out. And so the true thing about credibility is just own up when you don't know something, for example, or those types of things. And then and then do some research on your own and figure out what you don't know.
Yeah.
And then come back next time and let them know that you now know.
Yeah.
Because that is what builds credibility. So do that thing. And then the other two last little pieces are check your motives. A lot of people do things for the wrong motives. I've found people trying to throw people under the bus.
Yeah.
Make themselves look good. Those types of things. Don't do that. So go into certain situations. Again, your conscience will tell you whether your motives are right. Just take a step back and ask yourself what your motives are before you go talk to X person about the other person or before you try and give advice or those things. Yeah. And then the last thing is about swallowing pride.
Yeah.
I think we take things personal very much. I think there's a lot of truth in things that come to us. So first look at where could I be wrong? Yeah. Where could I be missing something? And I think those would be the things that I've learned because I was not that guy 8 years ago.
I think it's like important because especially in a team environment, even though I in a sense am self-employed, but every transaction I'm a part of, I work with an attorney. Sometimes I'll work with an appraisal, work with a loan officer, and sometimes it's complicated. And so in a sense, I do work in a team environment at times. I'm a team leader now as well, and with Melody and Zach. And so it's like, but it's important to have humility because when you're on a common goal as a team, it's like when things actually have to get done, you gotta work together. I think people appreciate if you don't know or if you make a mistake and say, I screwed up, I'm sorry.
And we've worked with you in the Realty. Yep. And if I go through this list real quick, the things that Ashley and I liked the most about you was we felt like you were true to yourself. And the pride thing was you're very humble in many ways, and I think your motives were always correct. And so that gives a genuine feel for us that makes us say, you know what, whatever it is or whatever the circumstances are, he's going to do right. And so I think that's builds and it shows.
And just builds so much trust because I can genuinely say it's about my clients, what their needs are above my own. And I think as a team, what you've been learning is that you had to make a decision. Obviously when you graduated, or when I graduated, I wanted to have X type of job or whatever. But it's you apply, and especially when you first graduate, you apply and you are beginning at the bottom. And I think that when you enter into a team or a big corporation, the common thing is if you come in too prideful, it's that's going to do you no favors from a team standpoint. But you apply and then you seek a job that makes sense in a timeline standpoint. If this is the only job offer you have, what you're saying is just take it. You've done your due diligence, you've applied it. And this makes a lot of sense and just get after it. And
if it's truly not it, if it's truly you find out, then you can always make a move. Yeah. But at least experience it.
Yeah, absolutely. And take it on and try to be helpful. I think it's really important with team. It's what you're saying, you start with yourself versus finger pointing. And so I think that's really important too. And even as a corporation, I can imagine just having a standpoint, well, I didn't get taught this in college, or I didn't get taught this during my training. It's well, maybe you can try to figure out a way to self-improve, type of thing, and do your own research too. And I think being resourceful is important. I think your team members would probably acknowledge that and see that as helpful,
Yeah, because the difference between somebody saying it and somebody actually saying it but actually doing it, there's a different feel on my end. I can read through the person that's just saying it versus where you can actually feel that it's genuine. And so people respond to that.
And as I've gotten older, I'm 33, so I have still a lot to learn. But right away, when I see someone throw other people under the bus, you're just that doesn't make me feel super comfortable, and that's not helpful. And it might be rightful at times, but at the same time, it's important, like, to
makes you wonder whether you're the next
time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I think, what you're saying is very helpful, especially when you're first graduating. There is this sense of, there's a lot of information that's been learned in college that's so exciting to explore and do it. But I think from a business or any job that someone's been working in, just having that desire to be like, hey, how can I help, or how can I get better? And I think that's such a refreshing thing in corporate America and in management positions. And I think that does probably help people set themselves apart if they want to be a solution or helpful to the solution versus, not being true to themselves or not being helpful. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you've kind of introduced me to a author, and you kind of told me you've done some training. So who is this guy?
Yeah. So extreme ownership. So that's Jocko Willink, right?
Yeah.
That you're talking about.
So Jocko Willink. And so one thing that I've really respected about you is that you've kind of introduced that to me, but also kind of taken it to heart. And so Jocko Willink. And so Jocko, he's a Navy SEAL, and he's kind of come up with some principles to kind of live by. And one of the key quotes he has is "discipline is freedom." And so I think it's really important in our society and to really figure this out. So if you guys, next week we'll be talking about this more in depth. So we're going to be talking about Jocko Willink and extreme ownership. And Rick, he's also done some training as well helping other people in the business world with this. So tune in next week and we'll talk about Jocko Willink and extreme ownership.
Yeah.